Alright guys, so this video is long overdue. I've been telling you guys for a couple weeks now that we're going to be bringing my girlfriend onto the YouTube channel, and we actually have her here with me in the car. Oh, you want to... That's her waving. We're going to be asking her questions like what has she noticed and all that. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the video. Alright guys, so the first question I'm going to go ahead and ask her is, what's like the most major difference? Like, have you noticed me like get like more confident, more vibrant? Have you seen me look more happier, healthier? Like, what do you notice like when I get on to longer streaks?
I've noticed a lot of things, like you're more energetic. It's more like, instead of dragging throughout the day and not having the energy to go and do your workout, or not having the energy to get up in the morning to go to work, you're more like enthusiastic about the day, like, no, I got this. And I feel very like, it's almost like you drank like 2 Red Bulls essentially, because I see what an energy drink does for you, but I also see what nofap does for you as well. And nofap gives you that energy to go through your day without really having to worry about depleting your energy early on. Because I've noticed that you also have it throughout the day. You don't just have it like at one point in the day, you have it throughout the day, which is very nice to see. And for me, it makes me feel like, yeah, well, we can go and do all of these activities and he's not going to be drained by the end of the day. So it also makes me happy as your partner that I'll have somebody to go out and do things with me as well.
So next question, I guess. So I remember we were talking about essentially when we're coming back on our cruise, when it was thundering out, and I was pretty much telling you I was going to bring you onto the YouTube channel, and you're saying that it got a little bit larger. Talking in code here, obviously for YouTube purposes, guys, so I'm trying to make it a little bit vague. Can you explain more on that?
I guess you could say when it comes to performing, there's a lot of differences. Nofap compared to fap. So nofap, it's like you can go longer, you have a lot more vigor. I'm sure you have a very educated audience. I'm sure they know what vigor is. But it's also like you're a little bit more passionate, and at the end of it, it's like you feel more, I don't know, it feels like you decompress a little bit more, as to where if you've already fapped and then we already go into it, it's like it's kind of clunky and it doesn't go as smoothly as you would like. There's not as much passion. It's very like, yeah, it feels good, but at the same time it could be better, and I feel like you're at your peak when you don't fap.
So I guess my question for you was, that day when I was asking you, you said it was actually larger, and so like how much of a difference like did you notice?
Size-wise, I would have to say that not only is the size impacted, it would also be the coloration of it, because it also gets very shiny. It has a brighter color to it, but size-wise, it's also about, I'd say, half an inch to an inch. So
okay, so those of you guys that you watched like the benefits and all that, so she just mentioned like it got shiny and all that. I don't know, I think like some of the benefits are a little bit far-stretched when you practice retention or nofap, but one of the benefits that people do mention is like your hair gets a little bit more vibrant, it looks healthier, and then the same thing with your skin as well. You have something to say?
Yeah, I would like to add to that it's also in your face. You can really see it in your face when you have and have not, specifically like on the cheeks and under the eyes. I don't know why in those areas specifically, but like your cheeks, like you have a little bit more color in them, and you don't look as tired underneath your eyes. You look more vibrant. You look more healthy when you have it. So I do agree with that.
Okay, so adding on to that, guys, so this is something that I talk about, like, pretty sure you guys notice this, like, when you end up resetting your streak and all that, you get tired, you get drained instantly, and I know you notice that off me. I get tired, I get sleepy, and essentially, I talk about this a lot throughout my channel, that it's like your body, it's like completing its mission, and it's going into a relaxed state of mind, and it's also, there's a bunch of receptors being fired up in your brain. And I've just thought of a question, but then I just spaced it out. I'm gonna try thinking of that question real quick. Okay, so here's the question that I was gonna ask her. I just thought of it. So essentially, let's say you're going to your day-to-day basis, can you tell essentially like what guys beat the meat or what guys don't? or is it something that you haven't really paid attention to and haven't really thought of?
Well, I didn't really pay attention to it until I started getting into relationships. But as you get together with people, it does become obvious. Like, even not in relationships, like romantically, but just friendships, women can tell. And I know it sounds weird, but it's different for everybody. Some men, it's just in their posture, the way they walk, like their faces, the way they move, like all of that. It's just, you can just tell on some people compared to others. Some men hide it very, very well. I don't know if it's because they're used to nofap or if it's because they already have high testosterone levels or what it is. But some men you can't tell at all, and some men you can tell very easily. And I think sometimes it has to do with how well you know the person. But there's only been a few cases where I can tell a man just straight up that I barely even knew that if he had or had not.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you can just go, like, let's say if you're at the store or whatever and you kind of see it in like somebody's body posture, or you don't really can't tell just like off of that, or is it like I guess what I'm trying to get at is like guys that are on higher streaks, I'm pretty sure you can kind of sense that, like their presence, or not really.
I think it might also be kind of a chemical hormonal type thing too. Like if a man has been on a long streak for a while and you get close to him, like it's kind of like those pheromones kind of get to you a little bit. Like it seems like he's more attractive to you, and it seems like he's a little bit more bolder. Some of his features, you might take a second longer to look at him than you would someone who hasn't gone as long, because you're more attracted to that person than you would be to someone who hasn't done it as long.
Okay, so this is something that I find a little bit touchy, just because like there's not too much studies on it, is like the pheromones thing. I know you mentioned that, but just like there's not a whole lot of research, which I do believe humans probably do put out some sort of scent or something like that, but then again there's not any scientific research really done, and then just stuff that we haven't fully discovered. So I'm just trying to come from a non-biased point, talking for you guys here in the video. I can tell you want to say something, so go ahead.
And I know there's not a lot of research behind it, but having talked to other females, there is an element there that does exist. And I may not have all the research available for that either, but just talking to other women, sometimes it's like the musk of certain men, so there has to be something there. You know? And it's not just the smell, because sometimes it's not the cologne, it's like the actual like smell of a man, like their natural musk, and not like BO, because BO is kind of nasty. Sometimes women do like the smell of that, but a man's natural musk sometimes does something to certain women but not to others. So there is something there. It's just there's not enough science right now to really go and be like, oh, this is why, and we can explain it like that. But there is something there, having talked to other women.
Okay, so another question that I kind of have in mind is, so like you noticing the facial features, like your eyes, like what are you're saying, like they get like a little bit baggy, or what were you saying exactly?
Tired.
Like tired?
You can, so a lot of people, they say that eyes are the window to the soul. And I do believe that, but it's not just the eyes themselves, but it's around the eyes as well. So you can really tell by looking at that area on anybody if they're tired or not, but it's especially evident on men.
So I guess my question for you to be is, would you be able to tell the difference between somebody who's just like tired, like they got a bad night's rest of sleep, or if they just reset their streak? Or they roughly look about the same?
I think it depends on the person. Like I said,
so you kind of have to get to know that person on a daily basis, pretty much.
There's different kinds of like shadowing on the eyes. Not everyone is going to have the same thing. So sometimes it affects someone around the entire eye, sometimes it's just the bottom of the eye, but on you specifically, when you have just completed a streak and then you're restarting over, you can really tell at the bottom of the eye for the most part, and it actually kind of wrinkles a little bit more. And then when you've been on a long streak, you can kind of tell, because like those wrinkles kind of go away and you do look more vibrant. So that I can tell on you, but as for telling on other men, it just depends. You can go and look at somebody that you've known, and if you have a very close relationship with them, you might be able to tell. But as for someone who's just on the streets, you can't. But environment does play a lot into that. So as someone who used to work at a casino, you could, and there was a hotel attached to the casino, sometimes you could see a tired person compared to someone who had just completed a streak and was starting over again. You could see it. You could see that there was differences. But if it was not for the environment, if you're just walking down the street like in your regular city, you may not be able to tell just based off of that.
I guess my other question for you is going to be, so explain the body posture and all that, because like I find that a little bit interesting, just because like I talk about this on my channel, that you get like, essentially you get a little bit more confident as you go. And so
I do agree with that.
I see you nodding your head so much.
Yeah, like I've noticed that guys kind of go like inverted a little bit.
What is it? There's studies actually done on this, that essentially women are better at picking up body posture, facial expressions, and all that. And so that's why I assume you're able to pick up and notice like those little details, because like me, I honestly I don't notice a difference. But then again, I'm not looking at myself in the mirror and be like, oh, okay, well that's how my body posture is. So you do notice a difference in the posture though.
I have, and part of that is like I see it a lot in the back. I don't know if it's like if it's because men get like a confidence booster after the fact, so they kind of like straighten out a little bit more, and they kind of have their shoulders kind of like back and all of that. I don't know if that's a confidence thing or if that's just because you're feeling good or what that is, but I can see it mostly in the back, and a lot of women see that. So if you stand very like your chest out, your shoulders back, and your back very straight, it gives you more of like an appealing look, as to where if you have yourself kind of like crunched together, you're like hunched back a little bit, your neck is kind of like drooping, and you're kind of looking at the ground rather than looking straight ahead. That does impact how someone wants to interact with you.
My question for you then is, would you be able to even notice the difference, like if somebody just started walking with their shoulders more back, like walking confident essentially, like would you be able to notice a difference between it, or not really? Or you'd be like, oh, okay, well, this person, they're pretending to walk confidently, they're putting their shoulders back, they're standing up tall, or not really.
You can tell when someone is forcing being confident, and they're forcing trying to walk a certain way. It's just, you can tell the strain on the person's body just by looking at them. I know that some of you gentlemen may go out there and be looking at your fellow man after this, and you may be like, well, I don't see anything different. We do pick up on that, like how you say women do pick up on some of that. We do. Even I have a fellow woman, a younger sibling, who also sees that, and she is not attracted to the male race at all, but she can still pick up on that a lot. We pick up on body postures, and she points it out more than almost anybody else I know. So we do see it, and it doesn't matter if we're attracted to you or not, we can still tell.
Oh, okay. So like when you're just going to your day-to-day basis, you just like notice it just naturally. It's something that you just, how can I say, you just like, it's one of your senses.
And some men do have a natural air where they just walk around like that, like confidently all the time, or they at least walk straight. And I don't know if that's because of bad posture when they were children, or like how they grew up, or maybe having an office job, their environment. I don't know if that's part of why they look like that, but a lot of men, like, they get that confidence when they haven't. Okay, so I guess this question would be going based off the confidence. So when I get onto a longer streak, do you notice like I get more confident? Do you notice like if my voice gets deeper, or does it start getting like slower? Or what do you notice exactly? Or there's no difference at all? I don't know if there's a psychology behind this, but I do notice that you do like talk with a little bit more like of a little gruffer, and you do stand up straighter, and you do give off more confidence. I don't know if it's because you know the effects that like nofap has on you, and that's why you're like, well, I will have these qualities afterwards. So I don't know if it's like you're convincing yourself you're already like gonna be like that. Yeah, I don't know if you're convincing yourself you're gonna be like that, but it does happen to you, and I do see it. So I don't know if it's naturally because of nofap or if it's because of your knowledge of nofap. But either way, you do that. So on a long streak, I've noticed that your voice will be like a little bit deeper in tone, and you'll speak like more like confidently and more like with presence, I guess is the way to put it. But if you just completed a long streak and you're starting over again, I've noticed that your voice does get a little bit more high pitched. You can kind of hear it at the ends of certain words, at the ends of certain sentences when you say certain things. But for the most part, you can't really tell. And I think the reason I can tell is because I know you so well. So I'm sure your family members would know this, and I'm sure your friends would know this. But someone just on the street might be like, oh, that's just how they talk in general. But people who know you will be able to hear it.
Okay.
And they'll be able to know.
So you were saying that it's a possibility that it could be a placebo. So in all reality, like, do you think it's like, okay, so like all these benefits or all these things that happen, do you think it's placebo or not? Or do you think it's just like some of these things are actually real and they do happen?
It's not completely placebo, because I know for a fact that your skin does change color. I know for a fact that you do have more length, and I know for a fact that just like your physical traits are different, like that, like your eyes, your skin color, and length. Those are all things that I evidently see as a cause and effect from this. The rest of it, like the confidence and all of that, I feel like that might be a placebo. You might give it to yourself, or it might be something legitimate. It might be something like talking about like this also leads to, okay, what if it's testosterone? What if it's something else? What if it's something that is directly impacted from having a long streak or having a shorter streak? That could be something that does actually affect your confidence, but as someone who does not go through any of those changes, I don't know for sure.
So this is something that I mentioned on my channel, which she kind of mentioned, the testosterone. So there was a study that was done. Essentially your testosterone could go up to 150%. Of course, there was only one study, so you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. You just have to kind of go based off of your own experience, or get your testosterone tested right after a streak, and then after that streak, let it go for 7 days, get your testosterone tested again, or go for like a whole month and get your testosterone tested and figure it out and check your levels. But I can see you have your hand, so go ahead. What do you want to add?
Just one thing to add about the length of time. I've also noticed different changes with the length of time. Sometimes going, like, let's say 7 days, like the example you just gave, going 7 days before they get tested and all of that. I've noticed that for you, for 7 days, that it does have some health effects, but by having like a shorter streak, not by a lot, but having like a 5-day streak compared to a 7-day streak, there are differences there as well. So, and some of the differences between the 5 and the 7 are positive, and some of them are negative. Like, I've noticed that some positive streaks on a 5-day won't be as positive for a 7-day, and vice versa. It's very strange, and it might just be a person by person thing, but that's just something I've noticed with you, is that different lengths of time equal different results. So that might be something that may vary for these gentlemen, but that's just something I've noticed. So they can see for themselves.
So yeah, basically everybody's body is built differently. You're not going to see the same results as somebody else would. And I always mention this on my YouTube channel. Give it at least like 30 days just to judge it by for yourself. So one more question that I have here for you is essentially, do you notice like if you're more attracted to guys that practice retention or not?
Yes. It's not really, and sometimes it does deal with the woman as well, but for me personally, a man that has gone longer is just like, I don't know what it is, but there's more of like a natural attraction there, rather than like, well, he looks handsome enough, I guess. Like, he works out, I guess I'll go for that. Sometimes a natural attraction is more appealing to a woman than just straight up looks alone. You want to have both, but I have noticed that, like, there could be a guy and there could be a gentleman that has gone just a very short amount of time, and I've noticed that I don't really like them as much. It's like they're not as appealing as they could be to me. But then when it's a guy that's gone on a longer streak, it's kind of like, oh, well, I don't know what it is about him, but, you know.
So it's just something that you know there's something different, but you haven't thought as to why.
Well,
go ahead.
I don't want to give specific details, but I have actually been given the circumstance of one or the other, and I lived through this experience myself. One man had just the day before had gone and had ended his streak, and then there was another gentleman who like had a longer streak, and I was attracted to the man who had the longer streak rather than the man who had the shorter streak.
So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button, and I'll go ahead and catch you guys in the next one.